Welcome back, everybody. Emerge Podcast. We're on episode 43 now, so we're getting the hours in, Kenny.
Hundreds of hours. Not much in the grand scheme of entertaining, but loads of time has been recorded.
Loads of time, loads of effort. But anyway, today's guest, all the way from Melbourne, Australia, Ben Sorensen. Have I said that right? Sorensen?
Yes, you have, and with a delightful accent as well.
It's good to have an Australian accent on for a change.
I was going to say, I can hear your accent, you can hear mine, and that's perfect. I think that's a fair exchange.
Doesn't get much better, does it?
I don't know. Do you like the Scottish accent, Ben?
Yeah, I do, because it actually, John, I like the Scottish accent, and I like the country as well, and I feel like, you know, I have a real connection with Scotland, and that's only because we were both invaded by the British.
Were you not created by the British?
No. We had First Nations people that were here 60,000 years before the British decided to turn up and go, oh yeah, that's we discovered this. Yeah, and we brought beautiful things to the First Nations people, like slavery and poverty,
yes,
and disease.
That's
and rats that kind of taste like chicken, but First Nations people didn't know what chicken tasted like because we didn't have them either.
Never had it.
Okay, yeah. Have you been to Scotland then?
No, I haven't. I've been to the Republic of Ireland, which I know is very different, but it's the similar neck of the woods though.
Very much.
And I just absolutely adored that. And, you know, I think that the sense of humour of the Irish and the sense of humour of the Scottish, I think, really talks to me. Yeah. And I just think it's stunning. So I can't wait to get over there and do a whole heap of,
shows.
Yeah.
Tell everybody what Ben does. Tell everybody what Ben does. Ben's a busy boy.
Yeah, tell Ben what Ben does.
No, Gavin will tell Ben what Ben. Gavin will tell Ben what Ben does.
Ben doesn't always talk about Ben in the third person.
Ben should.
Ben should. This is getting fucking weird, isn't it?
Ben should do a lot of things.
So, am I right in saying, Ben, you are an actor, extra, model, an influencer, a TV presenter, a radio presenter? You get your fingers in loads and loads of pies.
Aye.
And that's not a euphemism. It's full utilisation of asset. I have brain, will do stuff for money.
Aye.
And, it's just, I have to do lots of things to keep my brain active and also to stay fresh in all those areas as well, which is really important. And I really, really enjoy the variety of stuff that I do. So I'm, unlike a really hardcore thespian actory proper actor, right. I'm a little bit picky and choosy with what I do, not because I'm a wanker. I mean, I am, but more so because I have limited skills in that area and I know what I'm good at.
Yeah.
And I think all of this comes down to going, hey, what am I good at? Let's do that. Right. So I've just been really fortunate to have a crack at a lot of stuff and it go really, really well. And while we're, just as a small interjection, I don't normally do interviews in a bathrobe, but
very early.
It's very early here. And I even broke out my emergency coffee. So I feel so normally because Melbourne is coffee capital of self-proclaimed, of course, of the world.
The coffee. I lived in Australia. I done the whole backpacker for a year and lived in Melbourne for 6 months.
Yeah, we call them flatbackers here.
Flatbacker. No, but that's the Swedish people you call that. Really Scottish. You don't call Scottish people.
It's the other white mate.
What was it? Coffee claim. Whereabouts is it in Melbourne? Are you in the CBD?
So I spend a lot of time in the CBD. I'm sort of closer to the airport, which is sort of Brunswick way.
Oh, there was a coffee place near the CBD, Clement Street or something. And I don't know why I thought that you might know this coffee place, but
No, that's okay. Everyone does
beautiful
that, and I do know a lot of coffee places there. My favourite in the CBD is actually Duke's. Duke's coffees, and they roast their own, and it's just this little beautiful hole in the wall place. They don't do food. You get like some little bits and pieces to snack on with your coffee, but really amazing. And the other place is
7-Eleven.
7-Eleven. Oh, how good is that? $1 coffee.
Good. $1 coffee. You get a bit of banana bread as well, Gav.
Yeah, totally. You can't get it toasted though.
No.
Which I have written to 7-Eleven about that.
You should.
You know, they need a Kmart toaster there next to the coffee machine, so you can just sort of put it in, and some tongs as well, so you can get it out
safely.
Safely, yeah. No, rubber tongs. Rubber tongs. But it's funny that the Scotsman brought up the $1 coffee. A little bit disappointed in you, because if you go across to Coles Express, you can save 20 cents. 80-cent coffee. They are
hot coffee. It's not just like
hot coffee.
It's
hot
not
coffee.
like it's not Nescafe or like just a jar of coffee. No, that's fine.
No, which is really great. And you know, you've mentioning the $1 coffee in Melbourne, and having lived in Melbourne proves one thing: that inside a kilt there's always a tight ass.
That is so tight. You should. I mean, it's a shame that we're overseas. You could have touched it. No.
I'm actually, because I love my coffee, and one of the best places for me that I get them, because I'm not a big fan of Starbucks and I don't like the coffee. See, McDonald's coffee.
Like, McDonald's coffee is good.
I actually quite like it.
McDonald's coffee is better than Starbucks. So look at us triaging coffee.
It's morning time for you, so.
Yeah, well, we're still. What are we? At time of recording, 7:24 or 7 o'clock, whatever it is. So McDonald's coffee used to be. Actually, do you know what? As a kid growing up, McDonald's coffee I actually didn't mind, because originally, back in the dark ages, they used to have American-style drip filter coffee, and it was actually pretty good. So they'd get that. They'd have the pot, and then the water would come over the top, and you'd have your thing. So, and it was free. You'd pay $2 for a cup, and then it'd be unlimited refills. And that was the clincher. That was the thing that made me go, McDonald's. Possibly there's something in this.
Everybody walking at McDonald's.
Yeah,
and then they coffee.
And then they've gone, we'll give you a free upgrade to this espresso thing. And I went, I just want the other thing. Don't change. No, it's free. It's better. It's better. You love it. Is it unlimited? No. And I went, oh, so it's better for you. But you're right. It is. I think it is a level up from 7-Eleven coffee.
That would be. I see McDonald's selling coffee. That's just new. Like over here, really, like McCafe. It's only about 5. Maybe more than 5 years.
But it's fairly newish. It's never used to be.
McCafe actually started in Australia. It actually started in Melbourne.
Very first one to ever have it. Just outside City Road McDonald's.
I did I don't know which one, but I know.
I've seen it. We've got a big banner. First.
That's why you
coffee sellers.
That's why you came to Australia, was to hunt down the first McCafe.
Yeah.
I've done a 3-hour podcast the other week about it.
It's interesting. I did a gig in the city at the bottom of Eureka Tower at the Belgian Beer Cafe, and I had a question. It was a trivia night. I had a question about where was the first McCafe in Australia. And one of the guys there went, I can tell you exactly where the second one is because I owned it. And
no
I went,
way.
So impressive.
So rich.
Yeah.
So rich,
So this morning's coffee for me is what I call emergency coffee.
Right.
So you know when you know.
Oh,
we don't
sorry.
do no.
Sorry.
I think the only international roast on this call is provided by you guys. So in these it's like the little coffee bag thing.
Mm.
So they come in like a little emergency bag, and you go, it's like in a case of emergency, break glass. This is like in case of emergency, you crack this open. And some little genius has gone, let's. Also, if Robert Timms want to sponsor me after this, that's totally cool. Because I know they listen. Robert listens. Still alive after
Mr. Timms is,
Big grab.
Tim. Yeah. It's really weird because you open it and you smell it and you go, oh, that's maybe there is something in this. This isn't too bad. Then you put it in the cup and then you pull the hot water in and it's kind of okay. Like you get the idea, but in a true first world problem, because I'm doing visual gags here as well.
It's a coffee bag.
Oh, fucking hell!
That's a used
amazing.
coffee bag. So, it
Is there
does
any coffee
sound good.
Floating in the cup.
No, filtered.
Very good.
That's all like a little filtery thing. But the problem is, compared to a tea bag, this is a little bit heavier, so you can see the string that's attached to it is a bit thicker.
Hanging by a thread.
So, thanks to science, when you put this tea bag in the cup and leave it over the edge, your coffee flows down that onto the bench.
Science.
So, minor problem. So you've actually got to make sure that you've got your jiggling on.
I think you need to write to Robert as well. Well, you're writing to your other
he doesn't return my calls anymore.
My thought would be that is the tiniest glass or cup I've ever seen. A bigger cup would sort that problem immediately.
A bigger cup would sort that problem. Yeah. Well, I thought, it would actually. I just like the espresso.
Well, it's like a sauce. It's a sauce.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. Or as I say, a Weight Watchers cake bowl.
Yes, very good.
Multi-purpose.
25 minutes talking about coffee, man. Robert, tell us a bit about yourself.
Hi, where did you grow up? Have you always been in Melbourne?
No, I grew up as can't you tell from my accent? It's a Queensland accent.
Nah, would never have.
Nah.
That's it there. That's it.
Yeah, so you can't do a Queensland accent when you've got hay fever because you need your nose. So I grew up in Queensland, a little farming town called Dayborough, and it was so beautiful out there. We had rolling hills. We had, these, what do you call them? They're like, think of them like housing estates.
Right.
With no roads or houses. Oh, farms. That's right.
Farms.
That's the stage before a housing estate. And it was really lovely. It was a little town then, and I went to school there, and I had some really great experiences. And then I moved to Brisbane. Actually, stayed in Brisbane for quite a bit. Had a couple of businesses there, and then moved down to Melbourne. And we talk about food and coffee a lot, but that's wasn't why I moved to Melbourne, but it's certainly why I'm staying.
Why you're staying? You've done the East Coast then, haven't you? You've just done the East Coast.
Yeah, and most of my work's on the East Coast, which is really convenient for me. It is, as Virgin said in their sales, the airline, said in their sales document that the Melbourne-Sydney run is one of the golden air traffic routes globally. So East Coast is totally where it's at.
How long is it?
In fact, it's about in the air. You're in the air for about an hour, but ultimately it takes. I normally budget 2 hours, 2 to 3 hours.
That's the thing that always gets me. That's the thing that always gets me about these countries like Australia, and I went to Canada as well, and you see the time that you need to travel to everything. I've never been to Australia, so don't know, but like I think you need to be very used to travelling to get to A to B if you're travelling between cities, because it's massive in comparison to Scotland. Because we could travel I could travel to the top of Scotland within driving maybe like 4 hours, 5 hours max. So
yeah, we have a little place called Tasmania, which is where we send Australians to understand what it's like to live in a small country. Because you can literally drive around Tasmania and it is stunning and it is awesome. But you do have to get used to traveling. I mean, I remember as a kid, it wouldn't be to get to the city from where I was, it would be a 1 hour drive there. You do your thing and then an hour drive back. And that was normal. We do a 25 minute drive to get to the big supermarket with the good stuff.
Big Coles or Woolies?
Actually, no. Back in the dark ages, we had Franklin's. So there was Coles and Woolies, and then there was a third player called Franklin's, which was like a no frills sort of supermarket thing. And then we had the likes of Aldi come in. Oh. And we have not known joy like Aldi joy.
Middle of the aisle.
So good.
Have you got Lidl as well? Lidl's got the bakery. That's what I like about Lidl.
See, we don't have Lidl here. Although when I was in Ireland and Germany, I was like, Aldi just leveled up.
What shit have I been getting back here?
I know. I thought I was on the good stuff, but there's a whole other level.
It's shocking.
They've just what I love about these Aldi and Lidl is they've got these random aisles where literally it's as if they've just seen the most random shit you could possibly think of and just put it all in one aisle.
Aye.
Brilliant.
But the CEO's been pissed one night and bought loads of things on Amazon and went, oh no, I'll just sell that in the shop. Get it in the shop.
It's like shoes next to fucking knife sets and
then there's like an outdoor jacket and then a tent.
That makes sense. If you get a killing spree, you don't want to use your shoes.
That's true.
What did you do? What did you do today? I bought a new laptop and some onions.
Exactly. Yeah.
I should probably fucking do that, to be fair, considering the every time it takes my laptop to power up.
Aye, that's true. Take a wee trip.
You go.
So before we come on, Gav's laptop is fucking useless. So me and Ben were talking. He's got a busy day today. He's on Zoom till 7 o'clock at night.
Wow.
Yeah.
We've got him at his bed and he's dragging.
We're getting the best.
Freshest Ben. The freshest Ben.
Yeah, the freshest Ben. Yeah, although, Ben can sometimes be like Tupperware. It's still fresh.
I don't think you'll lag. I think you'll be fine the full day.
I think I'll be fine. I'll swap from the emergency morning coffee into the good stuff.
The premium
stuff.
I think you should keep your house coat on all day. That'll be.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm not wearing pants, so that's the thing I love about Zoom is waist down is free.
Just how it all hang out.
Yeah, and the best thing about it is nobody can tell really what's going on down there.
No, you just tell people though. That makes it all. You can use your imagination.
Exactly.
Or the really creepy thing is, let me just type that for you.
That's a skill, man. Put that on your CV.
Look, it's a real skill. I just end up banging spacebar a lot.
How did you get it to fit under the spacebar? Did you bang it? So
it's not as cold.
Yeah, you warm it up a bit. You're hosting a few shows soon.
So look, I'm very fortunate that I have survived COVID, and 2020 was really shoddy for everyone, and we've moved into 2021. So we've got, I'm starting to book up a fair few shows. So I've got my personal favourites, which are my trivia shows on Tuesday at the Belgian Beer Cafe. because they have great food and they have a great range of beers, and I get to be funny, which is awesome. And I love trivia because it's just little nuggets of knowledge that sort of feed the grey cells in my brain, or as Poirot says, the little grey cells. On top of that, I've also got a Melbourne International Comedy Festival venue. So it's really exciting. It is I'm very fortunate to have the second largest comedy festival in the world in my backyard. So I'm taking
Is Edinburgh the biggest?
Yes, I think it is. So I've built a little comedy festival venue, and we've got some really great acts that are coming in, and we're doing that for 4 weeks, and it's going to be super exciting. And then on top of that as well, because I'm a glutton for punishment, also got Supernova, which is Comic-Con sort of event in Australia, and it is one of the biggest out here. They do 6 dates all around Australia, and it's really great. It's so much fun. So I've got that and comedy festival. So I'll finish Supernova, get in a car, go to the venue, open it up and run that for 4 or 5 hours, sleep for a little bit, go back and do it again. So the Supernovas are great. They go over, 2 or 3 days on the weekend.
Well, the Melbourne Festival will be the biggest this year because it doesn't look like Edinburgh's going to have it, are they? So.
Yay! There you go, man.
I mean,
But Australia, what's been the differences over there? Because from us looking at other countries, right, the UK is fucked. But when you look at places like Australia, New Zealand
have won. New Zealand are the winners, aren't they? China lies. They're fine. Yeah. No.
Yeah. 5,000 cases, all right. But what was the first lockdown? Was it just like a harsh lockdown for a set amount of time, and then what sort of measures is different?
So we had an initial lockdown, and of course this is all anecdotal stories. Yeah. So please excuse any inconsistencies or non-scientific stuff because my review has not been peer reviewed yet. So the first lockdown was relatively, I would call it a half-assed lockdown compared to the hard lockdown. So it was this corona thing, nobody's really excited about shutting the thing because of the economy. So let's do this for a couple of weeks. And then we sort of started to come out of it. And we went, oh, yeah, okay, maybe lockdown's a good idea. Maybe it kind of works. Nobody's dead. It's fine. Yeah. And then we had the second wave because our federal government totally dropped the ball and allowed all sorts of crazy stuff to happen for their mates, which was really terrible. So Melbourne and the Premier in Melbourne went, nah, we're on our own. We've got to kind of do this and work out how to do it. So he went hard lockdown for 5 months, provided a lot of financial support and as much support as the state government can give to people that are locked down, which is really wonderful. The federal government did a little bit, but they're a bit sneaky because they're run by a marketing guy. So lots of press releases, not too much behind them. So the hard lockdown was really difficult. It was your own, masks, which is perfect. Masks, I think I'm going to keep forever because they're great. I haven't had a cold this year at all. And
it's January though, so.
Well spotted. So it's actually been quite a long time since I've had the sniffles or anything like that at all. And I don't touch my face as much because I've got a mask on, so my skin's looking lovely.
Handsome, big
God. Although
that beard looks brilliant as well. It does. It's a good routine.
Thank you. That. But when I put a mask on it, it looks like a 70s porno.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Creeping out the bottom.
Yeah, very much so. I think that's another video.
See the shows that you're going to be hosting, are you testing before people get in? I didn't like that.
So I'm I don't do a lot of that testing stuff, but a lot of the other guys that have got because the shows that we end up doing at my venue are 45, 50 minutes long.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a fair whack of stand up to do.
Yeah.
That's a big go. So a lot of the guys and girls that are doing the shows will go and do open mic nights and other little bits and pieces to test components of the show and sort of fine tune it and then slam it all together for the big show.
So when it comes to the audiences and stuff, then is Australia just completely out of every restrictions now? Is there anything like?
No, we got still lots of restrictions.
Right.
So, and it depends, and state by state, it depends. So internally, one of the big things that we had that was coordinated by the premiers of each state, because again, the federal government kind of dropped the ball on that, is restricting movement. So there was a whole heap of time where being in Victoria, I couldn't go to a different state. I'd need a permit in order to do that and a justified reason. And then I'd have to quarantine for 2 weeks when I get to the new state if I was allowed in.
Wow.
Which is a pain. It's a big pain, but it means we're in lockdown for way less time.
Yeah.
Great. Because Corona kills the economy and it's like a Band-Aid. You just got to get rid of Corona and then your economy can open up faster and better on the other side. And from lockdown, we've all got some really great skills, like we all wash our hands.
Yeah.
You know, we're all conscious of keeping 1.5 meters away from people. Everybody carries a mask. So if you see someone coughing or something like that, you just put your mask on.
Oh,
shoot them. You know what? I was in that camp for a little bit, but then I realised that the hard part is disposing of the body. So best to let up.
No, exactly. It's far more difficult.
Well, our government, as you've probably seen, is I don't know.
Just rolling a dice.
So basically, what we done, so we went into a kind of hard lockdown in March 21st, and then for about
I've never really left it.
3 months, but. So a lot of things never reopened. But
didn't you call your lockdown Brexit?
But they totally fucked up. So what they done was they came up with this.
It was the thing that destroyed the economy. So
I know. I don't even know if there's words that can describe the government, right? But what they done was they came up with a scheme called Eat Out to Help Out. So what they done was open all restaurants, all bars, and gave everyone 50% off. So everyone piled into all these restaurants, and it was just a shit show.
Didn't get a table, man. It was
mobbed. Well, everybody's off work, getting 80% of their wage. So people are like, well, let's just go out and get pissed.
Look, I'm only laughing because I love the idea.
It's comical.
Eat Out to Help Out sounds like something from a dating site.
Yeah, filthy wee mind, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
Naughty boy.
Yeah.
Well, you might have got some new stand-up material there.
Yeah, totally. Eat Out to Help Out. But, you know, we've got a lot of government incentives to drag people back to hospitality and hospitality venues. And there's a couple of hospitality chains that are doing 50% off between 5 and 6 o'clock. And I know a lot of the venues that I'm working with are trying really hard to get back to it. And everyone's sort of trying to push and say, all the venues that were locked down did it hard. Yes, there's some government help, but it is in no way enough compared to being open.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I don't think anything will be. That's the thing.
Sorry, what's that?
Nothing will be the same as being open. Like, you can help out.
Totally.
You can only help it for so long, and then you just need to open up and get on with it.
Well, we didn't have rent freezes either. Oh. So your rent, you can't. We had an eviction ban, no rent freeze. So everyone's still paying rent on their premises, whether it's open or closed. So we had a lot of fine dining restaurants that were pivoting to here's a ready-made meals that you can pick up, or that we're going to deliver to your house. And that's really great that they pivoted, and I cooked and ate a lot of really amazing meals at home because I tried as much as I could to support all of these
The
different
businesses,
things, particularly in Melbourne, because we've got such a rich foodie culture. That I think it's important to try and support wherever you can. Hospitality is still really hurting as well. And a lot of the workers in those fine dining restaurants and also in pubs and everywhere else were on temporary visas out here. And a lot of them have gone home because you don't want to be stuck in, a country on the other side of the world for 6, 12, 18 months when you're paying for hotels or hostels or whatever. So a lot of them went home. So we've got a bit of a staff shortage here because we relied so heavily on the international travellers that came through.
Can you get yourself back out?
I know. That's what happened to my mate. He was out there studying. He had to come home.
Yeah,
he was saying he was trying to get back out, and you had to.
That's part of the richness of Australia, is having, that wonderful, vibrant, multicultural melting pot of flavors. Eat out to. I don't know, I'm just going with it.
50% off.
50% off. Hard part, that last
50%. You need that. How did you end up doing Comic-Con?
I'm marketing. I do marketing for a couple of brands as well, because I like to. One half of my business is the entertainment side, which is great to use once part of my mental faculties. And then the other half is strategy. So business strategy and marketing strategy in the media and event space. So that gets the other half of my brain working. And then the two halves, when they work together, create a whole and relatively less unhappy Ben. So that's a good thing. So I ended up doing some stuff, some strategy stuff. I'm working with an Australian company called ZQ Racing. So they make the lovely chair that I'm sitting on.
Lovely.
Yeah. So ZQ Racing is Australian owned, and it's designed. They design and make premium gaming chairs. So that's what all the gamers tend to sit in is these gaming chairs, and they're really comfy. They're really great, and they're made well. So part of the strategy that I designed for ZQ was to go to all these cons, and it was a wonderful opportunity to get both sides of my brain working together, which is why I absolutely love it. So we had great strategy. We've always got to stand at a lot of these cons, and it's so wonderful to meet all of the different people. And then a lot of the cons say, "Hey, Benny, are you going to come and host while you're here, please?" And I go, "Yeah, that's fine. And they pay me, and I go, "Oh, of course I've got time available."
Good. That's nice.
But it's been a really joyous community to be part of, and that's the big thing about it. Is when you go around and do all these cons in a small market. So Australia's got 25, 26 million people. So compared to the States, very small market.
Yeah.
And considering that cons are kind of a niche within that small market, most people know most people within it. So it's really lovely and really wonderful. And I'm very fortunate to have been allowed into that group of people, because they're very kind and wonderful to work with. And the punters that turn up to these Comic-Cons are just lovely. So I'm very fortunate. And they laugh at my joke.
That's the best part.
A good community. Yeah. What was the process for starting all this up? So when did you kind of think stand up and presenting and stuff like that? When did you start to realise that was what you were going to do?
I actually started doing music. So I actually started doing singing and dancing and stuff in vaudeville shows and musical theatre and stuff like that. And, I learnt to play a whole heap of different instruments and stuff like that. It was great. I loved it. And I realized that musicians work a lot harder and they don't get paid for rehearsals all the time. And they need to rehearse all the time. So I kind of realized that maybe that wasn't something for me. And I didn't think I enjoy music and I still adore it. But I think I'm better at being a witty smartass than I am at music. So,
Do you still practice and have a wee sing song when you've had a few beers?
yeah, absolutely. I haven't done that for years, but I bought during lockdown. I bought a ukulele.
Oh,
Yeah,
Nice.
yeah. And I've had a bit of a strum on that, and it's lovely. I just think there's something about having an instrument or playing an instrument, and I think it's whether you sing or whether it's the piano or a guitar or a brass or woodwind instrument. The magical thing about playing a musical instrument is actually internally feeling the vibration of each note. And I think that's the magic part about it, is actually feeling that music in a way that you can't get through a CD or a Spotify or whatever.
You're creating it. You're the creator of that.
Yeah, you're creating it. And it's this whole full circle thing where, you've learnt a song or you have an idea for a song and you listen to it and then you play it and then you feel the vibration through the instrument. And that's a really special thing. And I think that's why music is so healing and that's why music is so much fun, even if you suck at it.
I've never tried. I said when I was going back to, I'm going to learn to play the guitar. It's so difficult, man. It's such a hard thing.
Look, it is. That's why I bought a ukulele.
What was the first thing you played with your ukulele when you got it? Was it bang 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 bang? Nah.
I think that's not a beginner's thing.
No.
I think the first thing that I played on my ukulele was a G chord.
A G chord.
For about 2 days.
Somewhere over the rainbow. That was always a iconic with the big massive guy with a wee tiny ukulele. The guy was like 28, no, he was like 30 stone or something. He was a big guy.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know his name, it was massive, but
really, really, really cool.
I don't even know what you're talking about.
See the song, Somewhere Over the Rainbow?
What
is that?
Somewhere
that
over
one.
the rainbow.
That one.
It is. No, I can't find it. But it's. I know what you're talking about. Absolutely amazing human.
Yeah.
Such a great sound. A Hawaiian fella.
Aye, something like that. Aye. But Kenny was huge, like big guy, and he used to have this wee tiny ukulele, and he could hardly even get it to fit in. It was so slow, but aye, great song.
Oh, so good.
Song.
And see, that's what I love about covers as well. Is you take a great song that you know and love, and then you make it better.
Yeah.
And you change it and you make it your own. And that's great. I love that. And I'm also quite partial to the mashups as well, because I think there's a lot of creativity and skill in that. Yeah. And I quite enjoy listening to other people that have that fantastic skill to do that.
That was really good.
Right, let me just cut in for a wee second and screen share. I found the guy. Found him. How do you share?
He's got a huge name as well, hasn't he?
Let me share the screen.
It's impossible. I think it's impossible to say his name. There you go, Ken.
Is that me?
Remember and close the rest of your tabs, mate. We do it.
You
have to help out. Aye.
That's him there. You have to help out. Aye.
What's his name?
Oh, yeah.
That's the one. Israel Kawawu.
I have no idea how to say that, mate. I don't even know why you pretended that you might know how to say that.
I love that. 3 white guys butchering someone else's culture. I love it.
That's what needs to be done sometimes, you know.
Historically,
So, see, Ben, the transition between music to comedy, how do you remember like first time you were on stage or like prepping, writing jokes and?
Oh, do you know what? The only thing that I really remember are the gigs that I bombed at.
Of course.
And, there's been a few, and thankfully not as many lately, which is good.
It shouldn't be happening much now, should it?
Totally agree. There's a couple of jokes that go over really badly because I've got a very, very dark sense of humour.
Yes, that's my kind of humour.
Yeah, and sometimes I kind of have to go, maybe not everyone's on board with this.
You heard of Frankie Boyle? Do you know who Frankie Boyle is?
Yes.
He is very dark.
I love that, and it's just so good. I love being in a room with a super dark comedian.
Yeah.
And everyone else is sort of going like that, and I'm just wetting myself in the corner going, I love you. This is great.
I find some dark humour. I go, oh, you know what I mean? You wince, and you're like, oh no.
I think when people do that though, I think it's more about the reaction of other people. They're thinking about, somebody's going to not agree with that, or do you know what I mean?
I think that's what's really great about comedy as well,
is
because it causes us to think. It's like, it's Brechtian in a way that we
what
can.
Does that mean?
So Bertolt Brecht did the Caucasian chalk circle is probably something that he's probably most well known for, and Brechtian theatre is really interesting because normally when you go to the theatre, all of the workings and mechanics are sort of hidden. You don't really see a lot of it.
Yeah.
And you're allowed to, you're going to cry in the sad parts, and you're going to laugh and experience the full gauntlet of emotions.
Mm-hmm.
So with Brechtian theatre, it's a little bit different. So it's about unmasking. So sometimes, depending on how far they go, sometimes you'll see the workings. You'll see stagehands come on and off between scenes. The curtain comes down sort of halfway. But the point in the writing is if something sad happens, we get sad, right? So when we have these strong, acute emotions, we lose some of our cognitive ability to make decisions. So we are overwhelmed with feelings. So Brechtian theatre provides us with the ability to feel and acknowledge the feeling, but not be overcome by it. So it's written in such a way that I feel very sad. Oh, someone's just died. Oh, that's sad. Oh, we're on to something else now.
Mm.
So I still maintain my cognitive ability to make decisions about what I'm seeing, what I'm thinking, and what I'm feeling.
Mm.
So I find Brechtian theatre a really great way and a different way to manipulate one's emotions. And I think when we look at comedy, sometimes we look at dark humor and go, "Ooh, that's wrong." But it's really telling of the society we're in, our position in that society. And it also prompts, if done correctly, which I hope I do, it prompts an awareness of, why do I find that uncomfortable?
Yeah.
Why do I find that funny? Why do I feel like I shouldn't find that funny? And how will other people think of me if I find that funny? And I think all of those things, when we make jokes about wrong things, if it's done in the right way, internally we start to chip away and have all of those questions answered by ourselves. So I think that's the magic of dark comedy, is changing society through that process of going, I'm going to reevaluate myself and see why those things speak to me and why those things are true as an audience member.
Yeah.
Somebody's perception, it's the people that are in the room, it's their perception of their jokes and how it's told by the comedian.
I like it.
That was pure cool. That was pure deep. I enjoyed that there.
I was
I was just
mesmerised.
hanging on every word. I'm like, oh, I've never thought of things like that. I just turn up to comedy gigs and make me laugh. I don't think about the
Yeah.
is that because of me? Is it my thoughts and my
No,
feelings?
and you know what? A lot of comedians don't want to encourage people to think. And really, I'm lucky that I organically like dark humor, and it's taken me 20 years to find a spiel like that, so I can justify doing it.
There's a comedian. I like Australian sort of humour as well. It's quite similar, I think. But there's a guy called Steve Hughes, Australian guy.
Dave Hughes?
Is it no Steve Hughes? Steve Hughes, the guy who's got long hair.
Yes.
So he done one. I think it was at the Fringe, the Edinburgh Fringe, and he's quite clever with jokes as well. So he done a joke, and it was quite dark and quite about basically gay guys. But then at the end of the joke, he flips it around to be on their side as well. So he's very clever, and like I think the last bit of the joke was like, "Oh, I prefer just a cock up my arse." It was something similar to that.
Flip side.
Aye.
He's a thrash metal drummer, a heavy metal drummer as well.
He looks at
which is really awesome. Now that I think about it, super intense. But if you've ever been to a metal gig, then you know that it's the drummer that is the superstar of a metal gig. You know, everything else is like lead singer, metal. Boom, I follow the drum around.
And then Rock's the guitarist in it.
Yes, absolutely.
There's another Australian show. I think they've actually got a series on Netflix now called, I think it's Anti-Donna.
Oh, yes.
Fucking so funny. Kenny,
so great.
I'll send you that.
I've not seen this.
So good.
And they're a bunch of Aussie guys, and they are so funny. So funny.
Is it dark humour as well, though? Is it?
Yep, absolutely. When you see them live or you see them do stuff, just really, really funny. And I just wish them all the success in the world, because it's a really big deal to get a Netflix deal.
Yeah.
It's also really great that they've been able to maintain a lot of their style of humour, which is good, because a lot of times when Netflix come in, they kind of censor it a bit or change it a bit. And I think however that process works, it's worked really well, and they've done such a smashing job. Yeah,
that's so good. I'll send you a link, Kenny. There's a certain one that I like. I'll send you. But
my favourite Aussie Man Reviews, man. I think he's really funny.
He's good.
Is he a comedian? Yeah. Is he a comedian?
I don't actually know.
Who's this?
Oh, the guy on YouTube, Aussie Man Reviews. You know who he is?
Yeah. I think he sticks to YouTube a bit. I haven't, and I know he's very funny, but I don't know. Maybe I'll send him an email, because we're Australian. G'day, I'm an Australian.
He does do stand up. He done a show last year, but I don't know if that was maybe a charity gig or something like that for.
But the comedy is very similar, I think, because you Kenny, you like a radio show as well. Hamish and
Andy, like
yes,
podcast. They're amazing. I love them, man. They're so funny.
Very funny guys.
Yeah. They're very light humoured though. They're no dark. They're no dark comedy.
No, very, very superfluous and light.
You know many big words, man.
Yeah, because when I've read the dictionary a lot.
Is that what you read before bed?
Yeah, definitely.
Flump food.
It was either that or the Bible, so I went to the dictionary.
Dictionary's a good read.
Very, very good read.
Where was your first gig, Ben? Do you remember your first gig?
Geez, no one's asked me that. What's my first gig?
Authentic.
I don't know. Probably. Look, I think one of the early gigs would have been in a hall in Toombul, which is probably 10 or 15 minutes out of Brisbane City. And it was Maureen's Musical Melodies. Yeah, was the company that did
Triple
it.
M.
Yeah.
Eminem.
Yeah. I should have put that on the
radio
record.
show. Triple M.
Triple M.
Mm-hmm.
A little bit different to the one we were thinking. And it was a vaudeville style musical variety show. And I think that was the first show first proper show that I ever did. And it was really interesting and it was a great experience. And so much fun. I met some really cool people there and got to do some really crazy stuff. Like I remember there was one, we did a whole heap of skits in there as well. So there was some songs and there was a heap of skits, and skits were always my favourite. And I remember doing Tiny Tim's Tiptoe Through the Tulips.
Creepiest song on the planet.
Oh, just you. And it was 4 guys. I was one of them, dressed up in tutus doing ballet.
That makes it a bit later.
Yeah. And do you know what? I got some, as a young man, I got some really weird fan mail after that. That I didn't quite understand being a country boy.
Speaking about ukuleles, that video of Tiny Tim doing a live performance is seriously one of the creepiest things I've ever seen in my life.
I've just realised doing that wee diddly is a banjo. It's not ukulele.
Oh, yeah, correct.
Sorry.
It's actually called dueling banjos.
Absolute idiot, man. So,
is that from Deliverance, that wee tune?
You know what? They've both got like 4-ish strings, so...
you need to do that to make them work, so it's all the same, isn't
it?
How much longer are you willing to give us, Ben? Because I know we only booked you for an hour. We'll book you. No,
that's okay. I'm okay. Let me just check the.
Don't want to keep you too long.
You guys are the most important people in the world, so I can.
Bullshit.
Look, I did have a Zoom call with some very, very important people. Let me just cancel that right now. More important people on.
Nice.
So done. I'm happy to spend a little extra time with you. Plus, the longer I spend with you, the less time I have to be wearing pants.
That's true. Putting pants are restricting. You don't need to be restricted.
They are.
Society. Why never wear pants again, man? Never.
Be free. Actually, with the lockdown thing, which you guys, when you start to come out of it, you'll start to understand, is when people come out of lockdown. So before lockdown, everyone was like all suits and the latest fashion. I'm doing all of this, and outside of after lockdown, everyone's like, "Fuck's given none. I'm wearing trackies to a meeting." And there's parts of our community that have always worn trackies. We now sort of empathise with them and understand and take fashion tips from them.
Yes.
And go, so there's a round home tracksuit and a going out tracksuit.
It's more than one way to fashionize a tracksuit.
I honestly can't remember the last time I wore jeans. I don't think I've worn jeans all of last year.
I wore jeans yesterday and nearly smashed a window because the button came off at the top. Pew! I was like, it's not good, man.
Yeah. The other thing about lockdown is activewear lies. It goes, you're comfortable. Nothing's changed. It's fine. It's all okay.
We're expandable. We do
it's
that.
Comfy. Mm-hmm. And then you put your jeans on and then buttons pop and you go, things have very much changed.
That's probably the biggest thing for me. I reckon I've probably put about 2 stone during lockdown. But again, no fucks given because I'm just embracing it.
Next to 2 stone, it's a bit harder to give fucks, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. The field is barren. Your fuck field is barren. That field this year.
not only a fancy English title, but also describing one's sex life. I find that I put on I call it getting a bit more cuddly after the first lockdown, because everyone in Australia went, lockdown, what do I need? I'm desperately going to buy a whole heap of toilet paper and booze, just in case they run out.
I did do the booze thing. I'd never done the toilet paper thing. That was a lot. Pardon the pun.
Never
A lot
got
of
that,
shit.
man. Never understood that.
I totally don't understand the toilet paper thing. Like, I've always got a little stash of toilet paper because it's important.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to buy a whole shopping trolley full of
Yeah.
toilet paper as the first thing that I'm going to go to at the end of the world.
Aye. That must have been what people are thinking. Like,
but corona. Let's say I got corona. Worst case, one of the side effects or one of the symptoms of corona is not having the runs. You're not
going to use it any more than you probably would. Yeah,
than you would normally, and you're at home. Look, I don't understand it. I think it's crazy. But it's very unkind to hoard toilet paper as well, because there's a lot of people that are on limited incomes or may have lost their job that can't afford
$200 worth of toilet paper.
Yeah, totally. So it's important to take what you need. Have your planned little stash, and same with everything. It's not about us. It's always the privileged people that do the hoarding. It's not the people on limited incomes or the disabled people or the elderly. Yeah. It was a really sad stage when we had in Melbourne so much crazy buying. So everyone was saying, including supermarkets, don't buy all the toilet paper. You don't need it. There's no supply issues. We've checked. It's fine. And there's even less supply issues if you don't hoard it. That they ended up having to have separate times. So they had, if you had a disability card or you were elderly, then you had a 1 hour shopping window that you could go in, and they would keep everyone else out, and you would get in first to make sure that you could get your stuff, and then they'd let all the stupid people in afterwards.
I don't understand bulk buying anything, because if there's one place that's not going to shut, it's going to be a superstore. So you're never going to not be able to. It's fucking ridiculous.
You've played way too much COD, Gav. It's a supermarket, not a superstore.
That's what I said.
You played a superstore. But I just think that if you're going to bulk buy anything, it should be food, no toilet paper, man. See, if you're out of toilet paper, you've got a shower, just wash your ass. I mean,
Yep.
Or a bidet. Is it a bidet? Is that what it's called?
Bidet.
Yeah. Bidet, yeah.
That is the dream.
We have a
But I was like, pasta, rice, toilet paper, and booze was, well, to be fair, the booze aisle was still fairly stocked in Scotland, you'd imagine, but it was fucking ridiculous. It was ridiculous.
Yeah, it was really crazy, and it was actually a little bit scary because we had a whole heap of people that were, they were, even though everyone was saying there's no issue and you don't need to do it, stores are going to stay open. Like, there was, every piece of logical information was given to the whole community. They still went, oh my God, I need to just buy as much toilet paper as I want. To the point where there was actually people that were going to multiple supermarkets. So they do the rounds every day to buy as much toilet paper as they could. It's really weird. And then they would put it on eBay to try and sell.
No, they didn't.
Fucking hell.
No way.
So there's a whole heap of really sick individuals that have got that are parking their cars on the street now because they've got their garage full of toilet paper. And one of the beautiful things that the supermarkets did was they went, oh, pandemic's over, lockdown's over. You want to return how many pallets of toilet paper? No.
Fuck
Good.
off.
No.
Yeah.
Donate it to charity. Yeah, but I paid for it. Too bad.
There was a point where you couldn't get antibacterial gel at one point as well, like hand wash or whatever. But there was a guy in America somewhere, and he'd bought like thousands, and his garage was full, like, packed. And then they came out of lockdown within like a month or something. So this guy was left with like, and he couldn't sell it. Nobody wanted to buy it. It was like thousands of pounds worth that he's just spent. And you're like, fuck you. That's what you deserve.
Yeah, I had a mate of mine that bought a 20-foot shipping container of hand sanitizer.
Fucking hell.
Yeah. I mean, he's got a retail business, and that's he's got a retail business, and he wanted to do. Yeah. He was pivoting to that sort of stuff, but and there was a shortage. The delivery came just after the shortage, and now everyone's got hand sanitizer. Chemists, as in drugstores, are making it, so everyone's, really getting it. But the concept of toilet paper and the concept of hand sanitizer and masks, when people hoard it, it defeats the purpose, because the only way masks, hand sanitizer, and toilet paper work is if everybody's got it. Because I don't want masks sitting in my garage. I want them on people's faces. Yeah. So that they're not spreading COVID or whatever else they're doing, or yesterday's lunch if they're a spitter. So, sharing that stuff and having that sense of community is very important.
Yeah. There was a young boy from Glasgow, right at the beginning, before all this shit happened. He had a hand sanitizer, and he was selling squirts of hand sanitizer to other people in his class for 50 pence.
He's going to be a smart boy.
He made £11 and get sent home from school. His parents were so proud. I know, he's so clever, isn't he? He's so clever.
Next Jeff Bezos.
It's also totally different if you take that same principle and apply it as an adult. 50p for a squirt.
Half price. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, half price.
Yeah, I'll pay you.
Put
away 20 minutes between them.
Just need to reload. What's
a whole different level.
What's the question, Gav? There's one question we ask everybody.
Yeah, so we've got one question we ask all guests, Ben. So if you could have one drink and one drink only, what would you have and who would it be with? Anybody, dead or alive, any drink.
I would. If I could have one drink. Do you know, as disgusting as it sounds, my guilty pleasure is Tetley's beer.
Tetley's beer? I think I've ever tried that.
Is that like a dark?
It's English. It's English. It's a nitro beer.
That's why I've not tried it.
And yeah, it's a nitro beer, and it's not particularly strong. It's just really smooth and creamy and kind of happy. That's it. A happy beer.
Who you having that with?
I would have that with. Look, I would really love to have a beer with Anthony Bourdain.
Oh, aye. I know, it's a shame what happened.
I'm so sad, still so sad, because I think that his life journey, he'd sort of had so much that he'd gone through, and he'd grown so much, and he's such a understanding and wonderful human with such a great witty edge to him that, I think that I would absolutely hands down love to have a drink and possibly a meal with him as well.
Definitely.
I would happily make a reservation there.
Yeah.
Well, you can't have the meal. It's just a drink.
Oh, yeah. Well, do you know what? If I was going to have a drink that's a meal, I'd have Guinness then, wouldn't I?
Oh, yeah. My favourite. Did you have Guinness when you went to Ireland?
Oh, yes. Yes. So I went to the Guinness storehouse, as every tourist does.
Yep.
And they said they have this thing in the Guinness storehouse where they go, let's teach you how to pour a pint. So there was I was very fortunate because I was doing a radio show at the time, and that was part of the show. So Fulcher Island was really wonderful in setting up some, great experiences for my trip in Ireland. Guinness Storehouse was one of them. So I had a private guide to sort of take me through that bit. So the Guinness pouring thing. So they've gone, you want to do this, and you put it on the side, and do this, and this, and then you pour, and then you can do the little clover there. And so he went, oh, well, this is one. Now it's your turn. So I did the first one, and I went, oh, I've stuffed it up. And that's okay. That's okay. You just drink it, and it's fine. And, all right, fair enough. Mm-hmm. Second one, stuffed it up. That's okay. Just drink it. It's fine. Third one, stuffed it up. Fourth one, stuffed it up. You're really slow at this. Oh, yes, I'm very slow. Yeah. First Aussie. So I got the little certificate thing, and I don't know where it was because I was tanked, absolutely tanked, and it was great.
Dublin is fucking amazing.
It's so expensive, though, man.
It is expensive, but...
Well, that's why it's a meal and a drink, because you can't afford both.
That's exactly. I just realised you've got your wee thing up behind you, Gav. Your wee Guinness and your Brewdog thing.
Oh, Guinness.
Yeah.
See it?
Yeah, nice.
Showing off.
Nice. The one thing that I did learn about going to the Guinness Storehouse is that we're totally ripped off with the Guinness we get in Australia.
Oh, 100%.
They've got a whole heap of really great quality standards, which is amazing, but just absolute rubbish compared to the stuff at the stuff in Ireland. Really, really good.
We had there's a gentleman called the Guinness Guru who basically goes around Ireland reviewing pints of Guinness. Some job. But we had him on the podcast, and
they also call that a local.
That's exactly it.
But he's basically saying if you're Irish, it's just the known thing that if you step foot outside of Ireland, don't even attempt a Guinness, because it's just pish water.
It's going to be disappointing.
Yeah.
But then I found that with a couple of other beers as well. The country that they originate from is always better than the export stuff.
Yeah.
Which is why you guys brew Foster's outside of Australia, and in Australia, nobody buys that shit.
Hard.
So what was the other kind of, we were speaking about VB. What would you rather have, a VB or a Foster's?
I'd take Foster's. VB's it's an acquired taste. VB's the sort of thing that you'd have. I think I said to you before, 9 out of 10 alcoholics prefer VB. And it's kind of a tie between VB and 4X, which is Queensland VB.
What about Carlton Draft?
Carlton Draft is look, it's up there. I personally think it is a better beer than VB when we're talking at the dregs at the bottom of the beer list. I would rate that. And when I go out, I do sometimes have that when I go to a bogan pub, because it's a high turnover beer. So if you're a bit unsure whether the beer lines are clean or the kegs are fresh or whatever, then Carlton's pretty safe, because you're going to get they're going to churn through that quite nicely. And it's actually just a really middle of the road drink.
Safe beer.
Like
a safe drink.
It's a sessional beer. So you can have a good sesh on it.
That's probably what we would maybe have like Stella. I think like Stella's probably...
Yeah, totally. And when I back in the dark ages when I was allowed to travel, I used to fly quite a lot. And most of the airport lounges and first class lounges would have Stella on tap for that reason.
Yeah.
It's a nice beer. I like Stella.
I like Stella.
I think it's great.
Yeah, it is. We call it the VB of Europe.
Oh, do you? Oh.
Yeah.
Again, having it in Belgium's supposed to be miles better, of course.
There's the Perfect Draft machine. If you get Stella for the Perfect Draft machine, it's from Belgium.
Proper stuff.
This might taste good.
Proper stuff. Right,
What's the best? Right, before we go, what's the
go.
best voiceover you've ever done? What was your best? Was there a voiceover you done that was like?
There's three that immediately spring to mind.
Right, go.
So,
give us them, perform them.
Perform.
Just introduce Gavin.
I'll send you the links. There was a lot of concert. I do a lot of concert ads for concert tours and stuff. So I did a Peter Andre tour.
Yes.
Nice.
And when I got the script through, I went, no way. This is not happening. And yeah, it was great. So it's I think it's up on my website, the Peter Andre tour, and it just came out an absolute dead set treat at the end. And that is the first thing, no shit, on my resume is voiceover for Peter Andre commercial. Because that is just so kitsch and so fun and so great. So there was that. I also did the Venga Boys.
Yeah, I love the Venga Boys, man.
Did an ad for the Venga Boys. And my favourite thing, so Venga Boys were coming out, and it was one of those multi-headline shows. And the bit that I loved about it, and I don't know if it was the Venga Boys tour or the Bewitched tour, but anyway, it was big artist, Venga Boys, and this artist, and S Club 3.
Oh, they fell apart quick, didn't they? Jeez, oh man.
And I went, I love this. You're not even finding it. S Club 3. Like, what do you do?
The rest get knocked back at customs.
Yeah.
You know that show they do, like the
internal cavity search.
Border Patrol Australia.
Aye,
other four of them. Four? That'd be for it. Four, it's called 7.
Oh, yeah.
I found your ad, the voiceover for Peter Andre. What an advert, eh?
Oh, so
I'll need to check that out. Definitely.
Oh,
here we go. It's happening.
It's gone.
Over 20 million records sold.
Where's your voice? Why you not?
Well, it's mixed. It comes in at the end.
Oh, right, okay.
Plus special guests, CDB. Get your Peter Andre tickets now from Metropolis Touring or the venue.
All the venues.
All the venues. But you know, it's just so much fun. I love those ads. I also did. What else did I do? There was, I do a lot of corporate voiceover things as well, which is great, and millions of on-hold messages, which is just bread and butter for a voiceover guy. There was a couple of fun ones. There was a Thomas the Tank Engine YouTube video.
Right.
They wanted me to do Shane the Australian Train. And you know what? It's super kitsch, and it is it's like the numbers that they got on that. Like, we're talking millions of views on this.
Really?
Yeah, on this Thomas the Tank Engine fan YouTube page. And I didn't realize that Thomas had such a huge underground following. Like, really, really great.
Hardcore following.
Yeah. So anyway, I did the Shane the Australian Train thing, and I did a couple of them, and it was great fun, and the response was wonderful. So I think I've hacked that up. I think that's on my YouTube page somewhere as well. But there was also Number Rock as well. And look, when you look back at voiceovers, you go, there's many different things that make you go, oh, this is amazing, or this is great, or this is special. And they're never the gigs that you think they're going to be.
Mm.
They're always because, I just sounded really good in that one, or it's just a great script, or as opposed to going like I did the John Denver tour when he came out. I did a heap of stuff for Andre Rieu, which was amazing because when you get the emails and stuff, it'll say from the palace of Andre Rieu, and I go, "Ooh, that's fancy." They're actually really lovely people to work for. But the Number Rock thing is really cool. So it's basically the whole premise of Number Rock is they make songs and cartoons to teach kids maths all over the world in English, because that's what English people do, or English-speaking people do anyway. So it's a really great concept, teaching kids maths with these songs. And I happen to play a character that went over really, really well in these videos, which was an Australian alligator.
Oh.
And I like that for many reasons, because it's not an Australian crocodile, which we have plenty of here.
Yes.
It's an Australian alligator.
Mm-hmm.
So I must live in a zoo somewhere or somewhere. So
shipped in.
yeah, so it's me. So it's me doing this, really weird sort of alligator voice, talking about numbers that are bigger or smaller. And then, I went, oh, okay, cool, that's the voiceover done. And then I come back and I see this little, the alligator that's doing his thing, and I go, that's kind of cool. That's kind of cool. And they've gone, would you sing for us as well? And I went, oh, I don't know, in the alligator voice? Oh, sure, why not? So, and there's even one stage where I get to be a rapping Australian alligator, which is just like, I'm sure at the production meeting they were sitting there and going, what are all the things that Ben's not? Let's give him that.
Test them.
Already the Australian alligator dealing with numbers, you might as well rap. You're already there.
True, I know. You're like, you just do it properly, just go all the way. So yeah, that was they were just some of the funnest gigs.
That
was that, and it's
cool, man. We've not got the voice for it.
No, I know. You need to have a certain smoothness in the way you speak, I think. And
that's where Tetley's comes in.
I googled that. I remember the label.
And a lot of cigars.
Graveliness.
Yeah, definitely. It's I find cigars better than eating real gravel. Way better. Similar taste, but way better.
Better for your teeth, though.
Yeah, much better. I have a really good dental plan.
Exceptionally good dental plan.
I think voiceovers are a really weird thing. So and a lot of people go, oh, I should do voiceovers on the side. It's not really the sort of thing that you kind of do on the side. It's the sort of thing that you either do it or you really shouldn't.
Mm-hmm.
And it's got nothing to do with voice. It's just a really challenging and really hard industry to sort of do well in. And I never feel like I'm doing particularly well in it. I do a lot of voiceovers, but I don't feel like I'm doing particularly well. Even though I've done a couple of TV series and film stuff, bucket load of ads and everything like that. But the weird thing is I spend a lot of days having amazing conversations with myself in the studio all alone. And then, and you were saying when we were looking at the Peter Andre thing, where's your voice? What's going on? So I just record the voice and then it goes off, and then they chop it up and bring it to life. Mm-hmm. And the funniest scripts that I get through are the ones that I'm working with other people. There's a couple of shows out there, or audio dramas and stuff that I've done, and they've gone, oh, what was it like working with all these people? And I'm going, pretty much the same as doing a voiceover for an ad. I just kind of sit in my carpeted box and talk to myself, hit record, and then send it off. And then, part of the gift is making it sound like it's part of a meaningful conversation. And that's not only me and my skill, but it's also thanks to the skill of the amazing studio techs and engineers that cut it all together, and editors that make it shine.
Yeah, there's a lot different segments, different places for it to pass through before the finished product, isn't it? So I think a lot of people don't realise that.
The guy that does, I don't know if you get it in this, well, you probably will, Come Dine With Me. The guy that does the voice of British guy.
Ah, yes.
He must be like absolutely like loaded. He's never off the telly. You hear his voice everywhere.
Dave something
like that. Is that his name, Dave? I didn't know his name.
Well, I think the funny thing is when you build up a bank of, when you've been doing it for a while and you build up a bank of content, particularly with TV stuff, there's a couple of TV series and things like that I've done voices for. And, you might sit down and be flicking through the TV channels and you go, oh, that sounds familiar. What's that? Halfway through you go, oh, that's me.
That'd be brilliant.
Doing that.
I don't remember.
No, you don't. Because, if you've got, how many ads do you guys remember?
Don't know.
Not many.
Yeah.
But it's when you see them, you go, I remember.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's the same for me. So I might have 15 ads or 16 ads to do in a day. And, you'll just read them, throw it out, read them, throw it out, read them, throw it out. That's it.
Easy peasy.
Well, sometimes it is. Sometimes it's really challenging because it's either poorly written or, they'll write. And this is all first world problems, of course. They'll put 40 seconds worth of text and go, I just like that in a less relaxed 25 seconds. And you go, oh, it's only 40 seconds. Yeah, that's why we gave you 25 instead of 20. So, it kind of is what it is.
That's when Ben, the Australian cocktail, comes out and says, Alligator comes out and goes, that doesn't work, that ad doesn't, give me 40 seconds. And I don't know why I'm doing this with my hand.
But have you ever done the bit at the end, see the end of ads, if it's for like something commercial and it's like, big massive spiel in like 10 seconds, terms and conditions apply. That's the last thing that's the only thing you can hear.
Yeah, that's it. And
really fast.
It's funny how you do that. So I cheat. I try to, there's a little bit of editing magic in that as well. Sometimes I will go nice and soft, nice and close, and then you'll do it organically as fast as you can, and then you'll go through and you'll de-breath it, and instead of inserting silence, you'll squish it together to make it a little bit shorter, and then you're just going to speed it up.
And that's much more logical.
Way more logical. And you normally start, for me anyway, my process is I'll start with that fast bit because the faster I can get that bit, which means the more time I've got for the other stuff.
Yeah.
The main body of it.
Yeah, so normally the writers are, the agency writers are pretty good, and they'll sort of roughly time it and have a sort of an idea of how many seconds they've allocated for different things. And, that's fine. The thing that really shits me sometimes, but I do a fair bit of it and it's fine, is syncing. So where they go, here's a 20-minute video, corporate video, and it's got a lovely, super strong American accent in the voiceover. So if you could just replace that with an Australian accent, please. And we've made some script changes as well and just make it fit in with the pictures. And you go, sure, yeah. And go.
All right. Yeah.
So, yeah. So that just takes a bit of time and a little bit of messing around. But, that's part of the job. And it's pretty cool. And I'm very, very lucky and very fortunate that I'm able to do that. And I would, as always, love to do more. And I'm also super lucky that I've been able to do that because that's kind of what kept me going through lockdown.
Brilliant. Good.
We're a man of many talents, Ben.
Certainly are. Right, we'll finish with this question because I've wanted to keep this question in the podcast, but I keep forgetting to do it because I'm usually too pissed. So, Ben, what is your pet peeve? What was your biggest pet peeve?
Getting up at 7 in the morning to do a podcast with two blokes from Scotland that aren't even drinking.
I know. I feel as if what you do.
Pet peeve. You know what? I think. Look, I think my genuine pet peeve is unkind people, and I talk about kindness a fair bit, and it's a newer thing for me because I've only just kind of got my head around it properly. But and there are lots of times where I am unkind. I am very unkind to people, but the goal is to be kind, to be as kind as one can, and to understand that kindness is a conscious decision or a conscious choice, and it's not always easy. But people who are blatantly unkind, or toxic masculinity, I think is a really big turn-off.
Yeah.
And I think not so much kindness, but more so vapid toxic masculinity, I think is hands down the biggest pet peeve. And when you're doing shows and you're on stage, you can spot that shit a mile. A mile off. You know, the stench of Brute or Lynx Africa just sort of wafts in before, and you go, oh, yeah, you're going to want to try and communicate through your fists because that's all you got. So, yeah.
Unkind people. That's us.
Unkind
everybody
toxic
should know
masculinity. So, that's it. I'm trying to dismantle toxic masculinity one heckler at a time, but it's really it's slow going. There's a lot of them.
So many people just want to try and trump the comedian, don't they? Right.
Oh yeah, totally.
The show.
But the weird thing is, as a society, we all go, yeah, toxic masculinity is terrible for everyone except the toxic men.
Mm-hmm.
Yet, as a society, we go, oh, they must be strong and powerful. How about we provide them with, more? We could just give them more resources because, we think that they're stronger or better or whatever.
Mm.
When really, that's a wonderful way to de-evolve as a society.
Mm-hmm. It's going backwards. Or just no moving.
Yeah.
You're going to be moving.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Well, then we'll not take up any more of your time.
I'll let you go and get a good coffee, a premium coffee.
Premium coffee. Get some pants on, get a premium coffee.
Fuck off.
Toxic masculinity ripping at you there.
But no, I appreciate it. Very.
After a night of drinking Guinness, toxic masculinity is something that needs full flush.
It's certainly a different type of toxic masculinity.
Certainly.
Well, thanks for your time. We really appreciate it.
Thanks so much for having me. It's been an absolute hoot. And we got a lot deeper than I actually thought we would as well.
Just because we weren't drinking. We're sitting here going, you be funny, mate, go. We've been civilised and nice. Next time you come on, we'll have a drink.
Definitely.
Okay, good. And I'll prepare for day drinking, which is my favourite sort of drinking.
It's the best type of drinking.
That is the best. We'll find a better time when we can all be a bit more of a...
Well, if you pick it after one of my big shows, then it's not a big deal because I'll do it Johnny Cash and 7 a.m. I'm just rolling in from finish.
Definitely.
That'd be tremendous.
Happy to do that.
Brilliant.
That's what we'll get.
All the best, Ben, for your show on Tuesday, is it? The trivia show on Tuesday?
Yep, trivia show on Tuesday, and the Comedy Festival venue is happening during the Melbourne Comedy Festival. All the tickets and all the details are on my website, bensorensen1.com, because some other bastard took Ben Sorensen.
There's always someone. Yeah? Always somebody.
I know.
And so I've just embraced it now, Ben Sorensen 1.
That's because you're number one. That's
the other guy didn't.
The other guy didn't. Aye. You take care and have an absolute brilliant day.
Thanks, guys.
And we'll speak to you soon.
Thank you. See ya.
Bye-bye.
See you later.